brought up the point about we are a Republican, not a democracy. If we're not a democracy, why did they Bush and Cheney go to war in Iraq to sell them democracy? To sell them democracy, and it's still going on in Afghanistan. If you put an end to this silly war that we're never going to win, those trillions of dollars will stay in America and continue with it. When Obama wanted to get to the White House, he said he was going to get out of the war. He called McCain's plan of 100 years silly. But why do you want to sell democracy? So therefore, we're not a democracy, according to her. I was trying to hear right now. My father was still in Iraq, and then now Obama, when he was preaching to us, I voted for him. I still like it, but it's coming down. I didn't vote for a preacher. I didn't vote for a pastor or an orator. I voted for a man to stand up and say what's right for America.
Where is he?
He's trying to be bipartisan. Who cares about people? Why does he stand up and say, I've turned the other cheek? Now it's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Oh, he just goes his own way. He has time. That's silly. Beating the lawn between Gates and Crowley. What about all of us here? Why doesn't he want us to the team like he said he was, so he can feel our pain, know our agony? If anything, I would think he knows better than anyone else. He doesn't care. He just goes, they made $3.5 billion to be that money. Well, who the hell could do that? Why did he send $25,000?
Senator Reid, we're in the other room. We were only allowed one question. And Senator Reid, I made 3 appointments with you in Garden City, and you didn't show up for one meeting. He doesn't answer his phone.
He doesn't answer letters either. 56 letters he hasn't answered. That's his staff.
Now I'm waiting patiently in that room. And we waited in that room. I have a question to answer my Senator Reid.
We'll give you the opportunity to
I want my question answered.
Stick around. I said that we would stick around and answer questions, but right now we got an organized way for doing it, which different people are going to get a
Well,
turn.
they've had this room and all the
And one in
questions.
this room, 2 in this room, and 1 in that room. That's the way it
I
works.
want my question answered, Senator.
A lot of people want their answers.
Stick around.
You can't get everyone.
Would you like to leave?
What do you think? You're the only person? Everyone else wants answers too. Give them time.
Let's be nice.
I'm going over
Let's be nice in that room.
Oh well, he'll get it to you. Later on.
Nobody answers.
I'm not going to answer my question, Senator Reid. There's a seat here, ma'am.
Okay, we'll take the question from the ante-room, please. Chris?
Yes, Senators, I would like to make an observation on asking a question. The observation is that you're asking the most important question the wrong way. You went back to the fact that during the election, you asked across the country, if you like your health care coverage, you can keep it. That means, in Senator Whitehouse's words, that we have to keep the employer-based system. If you ask the question the right way, based on facts that you both know and the rest of Congress knows, we're paying twice as much per capita as every other industrialized nation. So if you ask the question the right way and ask, would you like to have the same health care coverage you have now at half the cost? How many people are going to say no? Okay? So this is very, very simple. The question is, that's a correction or an observation. The question is, and I guess it might be directed particularly to Senator Whitehouse, since he's on the Justice Committee. We have Good Samaritan laws in every state. We have them nationally. They mean that they specify that if you see somebody who's in pain or suffering and you're nearby and you can offer assistance, you can't just walk away. But what's been happening over a generation is that the healthcare industry, specifically the medical insurance industry, the drug companies, and to some extent the Congress, has been walking away. And I'd like your observation on to what extent the Good Samaritan law, the principle of the Good Samaritan law, applies to the healthcare reform issue.
That's a very interesting point. One of the key targets that we are trying to repair in this healthcare reform is the existing business model of much of the private insurance industry, which we've heard it over and over again, Jack and I think many people in these rooms have experienced it themselves. One, if they think that you're going to get sick, they don't give you any coverage in the first place. They won't let you in. Two, if they let you in and you have the temerity to get sick, then they look for loopholes, what they call rescission, and try to figure out ways to throw you out of coverage. If they can't throw you out of coverage, they then interfere with your doctor and try to tell your doctor that you should be getting different treatment than you actually are entitled to, or that medical science indicates for you. And if they finally get stuck on that, then they just delay paying your doctors and your providers to keep the money for as long as they can. Now, from a self-interested point of view, from their bottom line, you can see the logic of not wanting to have to take on sick people, trying to avoid paying expensive claims, and taking advantage for as long as possible of doctors and providers' money by not paying them promptly. But from a point of view of society, that's a lousy way to do business. And so that's why we have tried in this reform to disable as much of that as possible, so that everybody can go to this gateway, this exchange, and buy coverage, and it doesn't matter who you are or what you've got, you get the same coverage as anybody else. And they cannot turn you down because you have a pre-existing condition. And they can't rescind you out because you have a pre-existing condition that you didn't tell them about. All of that just goes by the boards. And we also have a lot of work done in it on administrative simplification to try to make the whole process quicker, faster, less expensive, common form, so that the poor providers out there, I'm looking at a table full of Brown University medical students who are going to go out into private practice, and they are going to find that they have 6, 7, 8 different forms, different insurance companies, and their office has to cope with dealing with all of them. And they haven't gotten together and organized it. They all have different plans. They all have different things that they'll allow or disallow. And what I've seen is that as much as half of the cost of an average doctor's office is dedicated to fighting that battle. Fighting for prior authorization, fighting to get claims paid, fighting for all of that. I was at the Cranston Community Center just up the road a little while ago. Not only did they say more than half of their people are dedicated to fighting that battle, but they also spend an additional $300,000 every year on consultants to help them fight back against the insurance industry. So if we can get rid of a lot of that fighting and a lot of that trying to push it back onto you, that creates an enormous amount of efficiency. That creates billions and billions and billions of dollars in savings. And it's not just savings at the insurance side, it's also savings on the provider side, because if those people are out providing health care, instead of fighting with the insurance company, you can get more done and you can take better care of people's health. So those are the ways we've tried to kind of get over that problem of, I guess you'd call it the reverse Samaritan syndrome of the private insurance industry.